Welcome to a special event release of the Sound of Movement podcast. In this 7-part series, we will reveal why conventional stretching methods are dead and introduce you to the 5 steps to unlocking peak strength and flexibility in adulthood. Strap yourself in and get ready. This is the Flexibility Blueprint 2023 edition. Before we get started, as with all our blueprints, the 2023 edition is available to everyone for free, because my brother Yani and I want to democratize health and fitness education to empower everyone to unleash their inner athlete by achieving the highest levels of health and athletic performance possible. So please, support us by liking and leaving a comment on the video if you're watching on YouTube. Give us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to, and please give us a Google review if you haven't done so already. And most importantly, if you learn something or benefit from this episode, chances are someone you know would too. So pretty please, with a sprinkle of sugar on top, share the content with your inner circle by clicking that little button below the stream window on Spotify or below the video window on YouTube, and then send it to one of your friends. Do that right now. It would mean the world to Yani and I promise it will mean a lot to your friends. Welcome to episode 6 of this 7-part series where we are talking through the 5 points in the Flexibility Blueprint, which, if you don't know, the 2023 version of the Flexibility Blueprint is dropping this September. If you want to look, so September 2023, if you're listening before the fact or watching, then go to the description of this podcast or this video to see when the official release date is, to make sure that you don't miss out. It's completely free. And if you're listening after the fact, click that link right now and download it. It is going to demystify so much clutter. It's going to really sort out all that clutter in your head about all this information that you know about flexibility and mobility and end range strength and loaded stretching and antagonist contractions. And it's going to just teach you how to get rid of all of that and focus on the one thing that's going to give you a real breakthrough in the next 28 days, based on whether you're stage 1 flexibility, just starting out, stage 2 flexibility, have a little bit of experience but still haven't mastered the power moves like the middle splits and pancake, or stage 3 flexibility, where you're either really flexible but you lack strength, or where you're really strong but you lack flexibility. So today we are talking about daily mobility, your key to flexibility, success, and healthy joints. And this is really, if you're stage 1, if you're somebody that has not had any breakthrough with flexibility yet, this is for you. This is where Yani and I had our first real breakthrough with flexibility, with a 20-minute mobility routine that we were able to easily do daily, that was gentle and that wasn't a real, you didn't have to think about a different program, you could just learn it, and that gave us an immediate improvement, meaning that the very first time we did it, we not only felt better, but we moved better, and our aches and pains were all but gone. And that's no joke. That's no word of a lie. And the reason why that is because a good 20-minute mobility routine starts with foam rolling and then takes every single joint from your fingers through your elbows, shoulders, spine, hips, knees, ankles, and toes, every joint in your body, takes them through full range of motion. And Yani, why does foam rolling make you feel so good, and what's the benefits?
Yeah, it's a highly debated topic in the fitness space, because foam rolling, exploded onto the scene maybe a decade ago, and everyone was doing it, and people were claiming that it increases mobility, it increases flexibility, and all of this sort of stuff. Now, I've dived through as much research as I could possibly find. I've had conversations with people who are much smarter than me, physiotherapists, cardiologists, and it boils down to 2 things that foam rolling is really, really proven to do. One is, on a very sort of modest level, it is going to benefit the cardiovascular system, because it actually sort of somewhat massages the capillaries, the veins, the arteries, the things like that. And this is what my cardiologist friend once told me, that sort of reinforced to me after I read an article about this. Yeah, he said it is true. It does benefit the cardiovascular system. It helps with blood flow and things like that. The other really, and the reason why we include it, is that it dramatically increases the perceived rate of pain in you, your tolerance to perceived pain. And that is
So
very, very
Yani
beneficial.
actually meant it reduces your
It,
perceived
it, it
rate of pain.
reduces, it increases your tolerance
Yeah, that's right.
to your pain threshold. So it reduces your perceived pain experience. And that's really important in training for a beginner, because exercising for strength and flexibility as an absolute beginner can often be associated with pain. And you may feel like you're in pain during the workout. You may feel like you're in pain after the workout. And one of the biggest adaptations that occur through repeated exposure to exercise is that your pain threshold goes right up, so that you can tolerate more and more and more and more, whether it be strength or flexibility training. And when you use foam rolling at the beginning of a mobility routine for a beginner, it gives you an instant response to that perceived experience of pain. And so what that does when you start to do your mobility drills afterwards is it allows you to take your joints through a deeper range of motion more comfortably, so that you experience a level of comfort in the routine that you would not have had if you hadn't have started with the foam rolling. So it is on the one hand, and there's people that claim many other benefits to foam rolling. I'm not going to get into that. I'm not going to debate it at the moment. Throw it in the comments if you know another benefit to foam rolling. I'd love to hear everyone's thoughts. But what I know for a fact is that it does improve it benefits your cardiovascular system and improves your blood flow a little bit, but it also dramatically increases your pain threshold, so that you can work out more intensely than you would without the foam rolling. And so it's a really, really powerful way, a really powerful addition to a good mobility routine. Now, beyond that, what I think I'd like Rad to frame, because it was largely due to him, and he's right in saying what he said at the start here. This was the catalyst to our breakthrough in flexibility. This is what started everything for us. And I actually think it's a cool little story, because we had tried to implement flexibility training into our personal exercise routines for quite a while. And more so, we had tried to implement flexibility training into our gym, because we knew that it was important, but we didn't know how to do it effectively. Meaning, nothing we tried, it didn't matter who we learnt from. And we had learnt some really advanced level 2, now in hindsight, looking back and connecting the dots, level 2 methods of flexibility training from people like Ian King and Dr. Tony Battaji. But we never really figured out how to bring it into our training to get a great result. We always separated our flexibility training as though it was a different workout that we did on a different day. And even at Unity Gym, when we first opened, remember we used to have the Zen Flex classes, Rad, that were totally different, just a stretching class. And
I
people loved them.
absolutely do.
But what we noticed was that a lot of people would just come to do Zen Flex, and other people would just come to do the strength training. And you would never get a crossover. And it was usually always the women that were doing the Zen Flex. But Rad, why don't you share the breakthrough we had with Aaron, who's on screen now,
Yeah,
and the
for sure.
story behind how the 20-minute mobility routine came about?
Yeah, so Aaron McKenzie is a really good friend of mine. That's him on screen there training with Yani and me. We went to school together. We moved out of home together when we were 19. And for the next probably 2 or 3 years or 4 years, we just did everything together. We had a house where we had absolutely no furniture in our lounge room so that we could practice martial arts. And Aaron bought a 3 meter by 3 meter mirror. You remember that, Yanni? So that we could practice in
Totally.
front of it. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
And Aaron became a personal trainer about 5 years before I did. And he learned about stretching and flexibility way before I did. He went to gymnastics when I was doing Kung Fu. And in Kung Fu, it was just really, it wasn't the same exposure to flexibility training that Aaron had. And so what happened was when in one of the episodes of this series, I talk about how I had this breakthrough when I went and did this workshop with Ido Portal, and I did, and I came back fired up with the idea that we needed to stop doing these one-dimensional workouts, like what Yani said, like this idea of separating flexibility and strength training, which is exactly what we used to do, which is the mistake that I believe most coaches make. And so one of the first things that I did from that was I encouraged Yani to get all of us, our whole team, back then we had several personal trainers working with us as well, to go over and just do a workout with Aaron. And so I called Aaron up. He, at the time, had his gym in Bondi. And I called him up and said, hey, I'm going to come over here with our trainers. Do you mind putting on a workout for us? And he said, no, let's do it. And so we went over there, and he took us through his version of a mobility routine, which you can see part of it here. And it's very important to take note. If you're a beginner and you're watching this with your jaw on the floor going, oh my God, how would you do that? I'm going to go into that in a minute, because Aaron's mobility looks different than my mobility, and my mobility looks different than your mobility. And I'll talk about that in just a sec. But the idea was that for the first time ever, Yani and I went along and we did this like sort of 20-minute mobility routine with some foam rolling and some mobility. And we both came out of this workout with all our team just feeling so good. Like, we felt good after the workout. We weren't used to that. We were used to this idea where you go and do a workout and you come out feeling, really stiff and sore. And we didn't feel that. And it was 100% down to this mobility routine that we do. And so we got to work creating our own version of it, which was a more beginner-friendly version, which back then was called the 18-minute stretching routine, which I now know was still not beginner-friendly. We'd still made a routine that was basically.
We should also just quickly point out that what we're doing there, that scene that you just watched, was years after this experience. That was after we had continued our flexibility training for probably 4 or 5 years, maybe longer. Because I'm pretty sure
at this stage we'd moved on from a daily mobility routine to stage 2. Flexibility, and then even into stage 3 we'd moved into by this time. We were doing stage 3.
This is recent because the final gym layout is all finished there. That's like, I think we did that session with Aaron in 2015.
No. That was way later than that. It was like 2021. I think it was even after COVID.
No, absolutely not. No. Because Lee was still there and Casey was still there, and sorry. Oh, you're talking about the first session we did with that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that would have been back in 2015. It would have been 2 months. It would have been within a month or two after I did that workshop with Ido Portal. Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, that's right.
So we went and we came back and we created this 18-minute mobility routine. And the reason why
I think just wait a sec, because you brushed over something there that was enormously important and really triggered us. It shouldn't be understated how good we all felt after that workout. And the routine that the workout was about 45 minutes long, and 20 minutes of it, maybe it was an hour long, 20 minutes of it was this mobility routine that started with foam rolling. And I think there was 8 of us that came out. Even Phil, our physio from the gym, was there with us. No one could shut up about how good their body felt after that workout. We felt totally empowered. We felt, it just felt really, really good. And we were all so impressed that we all wanted to figure out. I mean, I remember the conversation we had immediately after we got back to the gym. We were like, we got to figure out how to incorporate that into our workouts.
Yep.
It was that motivating.
Yep.
And that's the most important thing about the phase 1, the stage 1 of flexibility, adaptation, flexibility development. Whatever you choose to do, it has to make you feel like that after the very first time you do it, because it's that feeling that ignites your passion and motivation to continue with your flexibility development. If you do something that's disempowering, that makes you feel really overly challenged and uncomfortable, you're not likely to continue with it. So I really stress this. I can't stress this enough. If your daily mobility doesn't make you feel great after the very first time you try it, it's a waste of your time.
Yeah. And, it's funny because we called it the 18-minute stretching routine before, and this is a true story. It's because when I created the routine and then I taught it to all of our trainers, and I got it to a point where I used to look at the clock and I could get through it in 18 minutes. And I used to tell our trainers, you have to get through this in 18 minutes because otherwise it eats into the workout too much. And that's why it was called the 18-minute stretching routine. But that, for anybody that got that routine, there was a lot of moves in there that were really about the level of flexibility that I was at. And so that's been rebuilt several times, and what we actually have now is what we call the 20-minute mobility routine. And this idea of what Yani's saying about something that's designed to empower you, every single movement in the 20-minute mobility routine is something that anybody can do. I teach people, no matter what your level of flexibility is, the movements are gentle and they are something that you will be able to do. It's just about taking the joints through full range of motion and feeling good after the session. There's nothing in there that would, deter you, that would make you feel disempowered, that would make you try it for the first time and then come out of it and think, oh my God, I can't do that. That was too much for me. And that, Yanni's so right. That's such a huge, huge, huge part of a good mobility routine, because it's this idea that it's something that when you do it daily, within a week or maybe 2 weeks, you'd know the routine. You wouldn't need to look at the screen so much. It imprints in your mind. And that empowers you, and that empowerment creates momentum, and that momentum takes you one step closer to your goals. And within 28 days, if you do it, 5 or 6 days a week for just 20 minutes, that's all it is. It's a very small investment. You will feel noticeably different. The aches and pains in your body will be a thing of the past. Like, people just are blown away by how much better they feel within 28 days. Like, they really are. We're not joking here. And then you will also see objective improvements in flexibility in the areas that we really need to improve first, before you move on to things like the middle splits and pancake and stuff, which is just a deep squat and just being able to get your arms up above your head a little bit, about being able to extend your thoracic spine a little bit, just these basic mobility benchmarks that open the door for you to be able to start practicing that stage 2 flexibility.
Just quickly, I will add there, other than the fact that it will open up your chest cavity so that you can breathe better and that you can function better in the overhead positions, it'll almost, what it did for me was eradicate my butt wink in my squat. I had really quite bad butt wink, and that would cause quite severe spasms if I tried to, in my lower back, if I tried to squat heavy with a barbell back squat in a deep range of motion. But what Rad just said there about the fact that because it's a daily routine that repeats the same movements over and over again, this is largely why most yoga is so successful, Bikram yoga, things like that, because you're practicing the same routine every single time you go. And that is quite empowering. It gives you a chance to not only learn the routine so you feel comfortable. We all know the first time you go into a dance class or a martial arts class, or even a gym for that matter, when you don't know what you're doing, how uncomfortable does it feel? Okay. So we need to eliminate that as quickly as possible. And that's what a daily routine will do for you. Second of all, it allows you to benchmark your progress and measure your progress, because you're getting better at the same movements. And what we found was that after 28 days of doing it, I think I committed to doing it at least 6 days a week, if not 7. I felt I started to notice that. Then I started to plateau a little bit. The results weren't as mind blowing after a month of doing it, and that's when we started sort of talking about how we could apply different logic, different methods to increase those results, because it becomes quite intoxicating. It becomes quite addictive, seeing such big progress in your body. And that's one of the cool things about being a beginner. You adapt much quicker to new stimulus than when you're really experienced and advanced. Very similar to, the way the body adapts when you're growing up as an infant. You're learning and you're picking things up so quickly, so that's one cool thing about embracing that beginner mind. You adapt really, really quickly, and you see really tangible results if you do the right thing for the stage that you're at.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're definitely giving a lot away here. If you want to know more about this, just go and grab the Flexibility Blueprint. It is a free download. But if you're an absolute beginner and you've listened to this and you're like, man, that is me, then just jump over to unitygym.com and grab the 20-minute mobility routine and do it for 28 days. And if you don't get the breakthrough that we're talking about, let us know and we will, we'll refund you if you don't get that. We're that confident that it is going to give you a true breakthrough. Do it 5 or 6 days a week for 28 days and you will feel incredible and you will see objective improvements in flexibility.
There's a caveat to that, what you just said. It will give you a breakthrough if it is the stage that you're at.
Yeah, that's
if
right.
If you're at stage one and you're a beginner, then it'll give you an enormous breakthrough. If you're at stage 2 or 3, it's going to be too easy for you.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's what you can still use it. You can still use it, and we still use it, but we use it differently.
We use it as a cool down, or we use it on our days off. Yep.
We use it as a maintenance tool now, not a tool to actually give us a new breakthrough in our performance.
Yeah. But that's what the whole flexibility blueprint's for. It's to teach you what stage of flexibility you're at and what you should focus on.
And that's what we're talking about in lesson 7.
Yeah, in episode 7, which is the final episode of this series. So listen to that one. And if you're listening before the fact for the release date of the Flexibility Blueprint, check the description of this podcast or this YouTube video for the official release date where you can get it for free. If you're listening after the fact, after September 23, you can grab it now. Just click the link in the description and download it. Get reading, get learning, and take action on what you need to do right now to get a breakthrough with your flexibility in the next 28 days. And hey, if you haven't done this already, please hit that share button, copy the link and paste it into Messenger or wherever it is that you communicate with your friends. Share this with somebody that you think might get value out of it, because we give away so much free content for those of you that don't have the budget to pay for coaching. And the only ask that we have is to please share it with your friends. So do that right now. Hit the share button and copy the link and then just paste it somewhere where you can send it to your friends. And we'll see you in the next episode.